All right, well, here we are back in Space Aces. It's been a couple weeks since the last stream. Kind of want to get back into that early morning stream. It's kind of nice to wake up and get a couple things done and fun with it. So, I look different. This isn't my skin. Actually, a texture that every class can have. And kind of this bringing everybody up to speed with space. We're kind of in the class polishing. So every class has their stuff. They have stuff that works. But what we want to do kind of today, and maybe a few streams depending on how things line up, we want to make every class work the way Scout or close to it. And so I'll give kind of a brief overview everything that about. So obviously everybody has their own skin color. So that's going to be something different about Space Ace 4 is instead of having the armor of your team, you're just going to see the name tag, right? If you see somebody with a name tag, they're on your team. Simple as that. So that's kind of nice because then we can modify other things as needed. But so every class is going to have their own skin, their own color rather. So I'll show that because I've actually got that done. A Blacksmith, right? So he's yellow. His color. It has completely different. The pyro is brighter yellow. Rocketeer, dark aqua. So every kit has their theme color, and we can see their abilities. And let me open the inventory. So we've got their armor, which I hid the tooltip, which is nice. They're technically wearing a helmet. So I've got here invisibility. My skin is not visible in any. And we can kind of leverage that to help us display whatever we want. And I think that's going to be really beneficial. It does kind of add the annoyance of when you do have invisibility, you have to manually tell the game, give a thing that looks rather than just removing it. But so that's part of it, right? We've got these icons. And you might see my arm flash there for a tick. I probably will end up fixing that, but these are all arm. So right now I can do this. They're stacking as items, but because they are, tooltips are hidden, can't see them. And they might have a scale of 0, or they might just, can't remember, in the hotbar. So that's something really nice about the newer versions of Minecraft is you can say this, which is dodge, looks like this in the hotbar, but is actually your arm. You saw it flash for a second there. So if I drop it, my arm disappears for a tick, which is actually really nice. So with all of that said, we're doing that. We're kind of setting up each item, each ability to look visually really interesting. At that hologram background, I really like the way these turned out. That green gem is working on the textures for them, and I think this style is like perfect. It tells you what the item does, but it's not so cluttered in the inventory that it's kind of hard to understand. And we do have the ability, because it's in first hand right here, we can actually modify it to be completely different visually in your actual. So in the GUI, it's just a button. In your hand, so like Scout doesn't really have anything. Maybe Atomic Shrink, maybe his arm, comes over and at us watch, and he's got a button that's shrink, right? We can visually show that as you scroll over to that item, say like, oh, okay, he's about to shrink. And then in this view, we could either show that or we could show something in the arm, big red button that pops up like he's. And yeah, so we've got those. That's the core ideas of what we're doing for each kit, each class. And then of course we want to make everything kind of start finalizing the actual balance design decision. I always start with Scout because he's a very simple class. And I think it's a really good way to set the pace for everything. And then I go to Soldier, which is even more so setting the pace for everything. But we're actually going to skip Soldier. Seeker. As we see, he does not have the texture for Plasma Grid. Seeker has all of his items, except for this, which I actually deleted. That's what we're going to be working. But, and then finally the last thing, and this is something that took a little bit of tweaking a while ago, but I'm actually really happy with it, is, so before every kit, let me swap to a different kit. I actually sold swap. So every kit had these particles, which, you know, it shows the trajectory, but the problem is it links. And if you have, you know, 10 different people shooting different ways, you've got like a little too many particles to actually, like, none of them mean anything. So we're going to swap that to this style, and I kind of leveraged it a little bit already. So this is actually an item display that gets spawned in. And when it gets spawned in, it doesn't get spawned in like the particles. So if I go into third person, it looks like I'm sneezing, right? You've got these particles coming out of the middle of this is the player's eyesight where they're spawning from. But if I go back to Scout, they're actually coming from the left. That is just visual, which is really cool. I really think this is a really great way to leverage what item display. So technically it spawns, and we can modify it per kit, you know, depending on where the gun's at. It spawns here, and then in the same tick, it gets teleported to your eyesight, and then it raycast to where it ends up. All of that happens in one, like within the same tick. The projectile itself does not get killed until the entire next, because if you kill it in the same tick, you can't see it, right? It doesn't do any of that stuff. So basically what happens, goes from spawns here, teleports to the player's eyes, gets to the location. And so because it interpolates, it actually goes from the gun to where it landed, because it doesn't snap. It just takes where it was the previous tick and then where it ended up, and where it was the previous tick is actually how it is spawned in. Hey, there's Smelly. See you, Smelly. So that's just how I'm leveraging item displays. And I'm trying to, this is something that has been always kind of fun, is leveraging the, oh, and Smiley, let me know if that's better. I have the music almost muted, and I can hear it, but I'm hoping it's not, I'm not competing with it like this last time. That's, nothing's worse than like loud music during a, anyways, the, with Realms, they have to keep the age rating of Minecraft, right? And so if they put, you know, really outside of the outside of the age range things in the game, they can't keep that. For Java Edition, it's more important, but I think they have to do it for Bedrock too. It'd be kind of cool if they could age rate individual things. Does that? I definitely be. Or maybe Fortnite. Is that you can barely hear it? Okay, that's okay. I'm talking a lot, so that mostly while I'm brainstorming, that should be heard. Also, you're my number one fan. You've got 50 XP. I don't know what that means. Yeah, no Minecraft COD maps, fortunately. Bad way. Well, I mean, at least on Realm. Other people. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole premise of how that works. The only like thing that's a little bit goofy, and it doesn't really matter, I don't think. I think visually it still looks good enough. Because it interpolates over one tick from the gun to the destination. If your frame rate was 30, it'll just show, I think, just show the beginning and end. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Or if your frame rate was 20. So there's like a interpolation every, so like let's say I'm running at 120. Yeah, we all knew you were my number one fan. Yeah, Smiley, that's definitely. So I think there is like, because 120, that's what my monitor is running at. The stream probably doesn't even. So it might only show individual keyframes, so to speak, of the particle or of the laser travel. But that's over the whole distance. So what ends up happening is the further away you shoot, the faster the bullet travel visually. So like you see how that it's going all the way to the glass in that one tick. But now if I look here, it's like that you shouldn't even see that technically. But it's going from there to where my eyes are in the same tick. So it'll look like it slows down the closer I get, which I think is acceptable. You're going to be shooting at kind of the similar distance at the time, so it doesn't matter much. Yeah, this music's a bit more But other than that, oh man. I'm feeling like this is gonna be the best feeling Minecraft FPS on Realm. Granted, it might be the only one on Realms, but come on, we gotta take our wins. This is another thing that I am doing per class, and this I'm really excited about because it adds so much more depth to kind of how kids can. So, you may notice I seem kind of short. This guy is. I'm looking pretty much horizontal. I'm not looking him in the. He should be bald. Texture got vanished. But now if I select soldier, get a little bit taller. And if I select gunner, even just a little bit taller. And then finally brawler, he's the tallest kid. So players can scale based on their kit that they have. And that's going to be really cool because I'm out here. These are the different sizes. I've got this one showing that every one of these has a crouching version. So you've got your hitbox. I think this is the standard size. This is the size I am. You go between, I think 0.25. That is Scout when he shrunk down. This is also Scout, but that's like a in-between stage. Technically, it goes from this to this. And the reason I do that is because I could make everything's hard-coded. To do it with math would be so much more intensive for the amount of performance. Like it would performance. So what ends up happening is I just snap to as you're shrinking, and it's only for like maybe 10 ticks or maybe 5 ticks between. So it's like 1 tick this guy as you're shrinking, 2 or 3 ticks this guy, and then the rest of the time. It's not gonna actually matter. I don't think. We'll see. If it does, we'll go. Okay, so that's Scout and Infiltrator. There's a couple kits that are slightly bigger. That's this is 0.85 scale, 0.9. This is 1.15, and 5. And this person still fits in a 1x1 hole, which is kind of important because parts of the map are gonna be, can you climb a ladder? If we make it so that no one can climb, or some kids can't climb a ladder, like that's gonna be problematic, right? So we're gonna see kind of mobility is just a tiny bit smaller, and seeker, no, seeker, just mobility. I'll probably make either healer or scientist. Okay, so that's kind of all that I've been doing, preempting how this works. That's so Scout's done. His abilities work. We might visually change some of these, like especially the text. I think maybe a new font could be cool. I think like especially your ultimate should be just a little bit more ultimate looking. But now we have Seeker, right? And I'm trying to think of ways to singularities. Because I have full control of the arms, which is really cool. Keep grabbing the arm and it keeps vanishing. You can barely even see. Kind of thinking of moving the blaster to be like he basically his arm got cut off and this is like a pirate hook, but it's also just like can be other things type of thing. We're gonna play with that today. So if I move to Sunkin, oh, this is the model. Don't, the colors are weird. This is, yeah, I don't really. So Cube. This is gonna be the arm. It's gonna go kind of as a cuff into where his arm. We're gonna have to delete part of the texture. Might have to modify all of the arm models, which is also fine. Like that's actually kind of that we can do that. So I'm trying to think of like what do we do to make this look like a heavy-ish shotgun, because we want it to be that's kind of Seeker's shotgun. And I also made it so that it shoots lasers. I increased the spread because, and it just looks actually pretty good. See them all, and I can modify the texture. So that's kind of how these work. So I'm thinking I want it to be heavy feet, but we don't want it to be heaviest. We want him because he is a faster kid, slowest. So that's kind of why I went with the arm by thing. I'm thinking. Oh, that's not. Block bench. So this is a little bit interesting. Not sure how I feel. I think this is what. Oh, it might be 4x4. Good trains, actually. Small. Could even be negative size. That looks kind of goofy. Now, granted, this whole thing is not going to be solid. it is going to be, I'm thinking of like bands around it. And I want this to be like an energy core. Maybe even an animated texture. I'm not certain about that. So that might be something we think about. Okay, let's I think and set that in, and then we'll delete the texture on the side of that. So that'll give kind of a glowing, no matter which way you look at it, type of where that green's at. I think 0. I think we've been working in 0.5s if we can help it. Kind of thinking, what if we do something sort of like this? And that'll tie it in. It's important. Seems Minecraft pencil. Yeah, I know that's what it looks like. This is gonna be Seeker's Blaster. It's kind of goofy looking, you're right. So imagine there's rings instead of it being solid all the way across. Maybe 3 pixels here, 2 pixels. And I might do several. I kind of want like a... So this is something that every hero has had. Scout's whole thing is like being swift and lightweight, right? That's his design path. Let me come up with... So Scout is going to be renamed to Pathfinder. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but no one's watching streams other the people that kind of already know this. And if somebody stumbles upon him, good, you know, it gives them. So that is his overarching style. He's the Pathfinder. Swift, lightweight, he can reload real fast. That's kind of important to making the kits feel... That's a lot of what I'm trying to do. The previous kits, it was kind of like just a mishmash of... And a lot of the abilities are actually similar to what they were before, but now they are going to reinforce each other's ideas. So it's like you're building personality into the kits. So with that in mind, the Seeker... What a terrible name. Seeker. Like, what? I think that's why no one plays the kit. It's a good kit, like, previously. But he's going to be renamed to Void Stalker. Void Stalker. So he's going to be kind of like a bounty hunter or chases people down. That's kind of the design for him. Yeah, we'll see if it looks great. And so that's what we're building. We're building somebody that is kind of very void or like antimatter. That's his. So like Event Horizon is dealing with a black hole, right? That's a technical term. And then Into the Void is ultimate. You're creating your own void. Like overcharging is stored. This stuff doesn't make sense, right? but we're just making up things as we go. So the Singularity Spreader, which is, I believe, the new name for the. I have two VS codes open. Second one. Yeah. So it was called the Plasma Spreader, but that's. So we want it to look like antimatter, the void, something kind of dark, and that's why his color is maroon. Sniper is like the darkest. Yeah, his theme color is just, but like a dark maroon. Yeah, fun is greater than making sense. You're that's definitely true. Going back to GIMP, we want to build that identity into this kit, right? That is kind of the goal here. So I'm trying to build like almost like a energy chamber that harnessing. Kind of cool. Let's see. What if we do it like this? This is all going to be its own texture. This thing here. What if we pull this out and we have a top and bottom tail that sticks out past? The rest of the blaster ends. And then we'll remove texture on these three parts. I think that'll actually look. This also looks kind of TIE Fighter. Okay. So I think we do need some more stuff back here to tie it all in together. Get this back, and I think we should do. Actually, should I have just done this? Snap it. Like, is this going to be just too similar styling? Might be, but if we pull it out... Oh, I think that'll look actually... Do something kind of like that. And imagine most of this gets deleted, but we still keep this top bar up here. Some Z fighting there. Okay. I'm thinking this is going to work. Let's get a look for this in. Yeah, so that's kind of beefy, and we'll remove parts of this texture of the actual arm. Okay, I'm kind of like in the and a lot of like what we're getting rid of will be like we're gonna get a lot of stuff to build character out of this. So the next thing I kind of want to add pretty far back. Duplicate player arm. I want to make the 3 poison darts that he has, or whether it's 3. I want them to be mounted to his wrist. I could technically do it on the other arm. Half a block. Or half a... shrink it down. That I add some rotate. Kind of like that. Maybe we just cover up that. And so imagine 3 little circles here that are green for the poison dart. Like built into it. Built into the arm. So what we could do is export this whole thing as the arm, and then export a version with this popped up. So when you swap, you scroll to poison dart, this pops up, and it's like, you know, you can blast with it, right? And then you scroll back to the gun, it's back down. I'm kind of liking that. I'm actually. Could even make it so visually in the GUI, when you pull it up, it centers like this, and then it goes up. So you're kind of aiming down the barrel a little bit more, so you can see it. Okay. So this would be off. Actually, half a block like that. And it's like, oh, you activate it. Pops up. Then afterwards, it goes back down. So the texture would still be there, but it's like... I'm trying to build a more movement into these blasters. Okay. I'm thinking what we can do on... The bottom can stay the same. That's generally where I like to cut corners the most. And actually, I can delete pixels here to give it a simpler look. Or because the other arm is going to be textured into that point. Add another colors to... Thinking basically on this rate. I want that. Tight. At first. Plate them by 5. Does that... Nope. How do you make it smaller? Is that not an option? Okay, it's just minus. Let me try half a pixel on sides. That's not too bad. And what I can do, uh, merge that down. Yeah, you're right. Symmetrical model might be worth. What if we do this? Paste positive 5. And we'll actually move it down the other one. Lines up. Then maybe I'll just... Sorry. Sometimes the guys get through the glass door and then I have to... And we could almost like... files to get that way. So these are going to be, imagine like a either cooling or void energy or whatever we're calling that. I'm liking it. I think we can up tiny and almost like a battery cell. That. So we've got a lot of detail. We can add a lot of texture to that. This side I'm not worried about because that's going to be the arm. You only see it. Still feel like we've got just a big flat surface here. We can make it better with texture. But the outside let's think about the ability. Back to game. We got poison or void needle rather, not poison dart. Gotta remember the new name. And you can currently have up to 3. That is, and then Swift Shade would be kind of like a cloak. How do I want that to? Event Horizon can style. We might even put that on the offhand, so it could be something that's like constantly little robots, kind of or something. I don't know. Into the Void could be kind of similar to Swift Shade. And maybe we have maybe we do this side as like a big canister, kind of like the and this is actually the inner. That big. I kind of like the so you've got the cooling on this side. Got the five. Don't like it. It's not my favorite. I should have known it was. And then I should be able to snap. here, and that'll give us I don't mind that too much. Would it look better like these though? And imagine that extending. What if we do a steeper, like 67? That and the hair color. Selecting snap to it. I don't think I like that as might be better if we no, I don't like. I think I would prefer this for the hair. Vertex snap it. Bottom. And then we'll move this one back. I like the 45. It's kind of bad. Sure. This case, one would be better than one. Cat now, ears in the face. Oh no. That a coffee too. Hmm. I actually don't mind the bottom part. I think that's all right. What if we get that one? It's down. Up and side. I think I like that more. I know it makes it kind of boxy looking, but I think we could do more with that. Okay. All this good. I think we can save it to craft as we're. How does this? It's all the about that. So all of the the cells on the one side are in your armpit. It's not really good. Maybe I just delete this cell pack and then the other one to that side. That's why you check things. Bother texturing. X. back. It's in. Kind of like that. Better. Probably short. um. I don't think there's a place for these there. This we can ignore. Don't want to put it on top here. I think this is going to look cluttered. We don't do it right. Just delete it. And I think we need to just start doing text. Create a texture. Do primary. That probably makes sense. Okay, great. And so as you're making textures, the first thing you always want to do is just box fill. Don't texture anything. Okay. So I like to do very much gun parts as dark or light gray. Just gray. So bucket like this whole thing. Right. And then immediately you're like, okay, your brain can understand that a lot better. Let's get some bright red just so we remember these and perks. That's actually perfect. And have the 3 missiles we're gonna end up in there. That gray. Let's do a lighter around this. Side, do I care about it? Oh, it's the should actually sides. It's 3 red dots actually. I be able to see it here. Oh no, it's and while we're here, go ahead and grab that. It's the bottom. So the top and bottom are thin. Saving the. I'm not overwriting something. Okay. Go ahead and take lighter gray. I'm thinking maybe the outer shells we want lighter gray. He's the same. Oh, that's just the one thing. Okay, duh. I might have to separate that. And box fill these 4 parts in. That. Better gray, I think. It's 4. These parts. So like already we have a lot more to get. So this is where we actually pairing up how things. So we are going to do this and this. This is eating kind of like And that same thing goes for the banding. How that'll save it. Two strips of 3. That actually does work. Kind of like strips. That. And the whole point of this is then you can see the energy. Okay. Or I will. Okay. So that is a lot more, and it's already got the red in there, but that's a lot more what I'm going. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're kind of looking cool, right? To do that. I think we're kind of right. Let's delete arm. And I think we gotta delete. Let's see, what is this? I want to delete the. Said then. And I guess it doesn't. Okay. We might have a lot of unfortunate geometries in the. But we can look for ways to fix that. Oh, and that's the top surface. What's that? Do we need a face here is the question. Let's go in here. Just click there, and then what you can do, this is a cool block bench thing, you can just remove that. So now it just doesn't run, right? And I can even do that here. That. It's kind of like setting the texture to nothing, but it's a little bit better. Okay, so I've got those 4. And I'll just do that for all of these. Oh. Generally, with a lot of this stuff, you want to be pretty careful with how much you do or how many things you have in geometry. But when it's a single item, you're not going to have like 1,000 of these. We're kind of safe, right? Not going to have, unless there's 1,000 players, which have other problems. We can kind of make the primary weapons a lot more complex than normal blocks. But like if you had 100 other things in the world, like let's say there's a block with 100 models in it. That's basically you placed 100 blocks every time you place. And then it's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense. Thought I'd actually get back to or wait. We see kind of that creates the banding, and then this other piece is what helps us link them. That's already looking actually pretty cool, right? I don't know if I want to remove phase. Actually, I want to keep that one. Keep all that. Visually start removing. Can I get rid of this? No, I want to. Is this? Oh, it's that one. Probably. So this isn't exactly simple as removing. We still want to map this though in case. Or just like the very end. I'm gonna assume. I wish the bucket. Like it does a whole face. I wish it did it by region. And I'm sure there's a way to. Okay. Here, this is essentially where we would. Where we add these back. That's just a little bit of a shell. I think that will give a lot more depth without having to add more. Let's try this actually. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, let's erase those. Okay, and then we vanish. Here, this will be. Yeah, okay. I thought that would be. Okay, we'll just make that solid red. Except for this thing. I think I like that. This we will probably change to be not just. I'm doing the back texture. Okay. Gray. Technically. Delete work. Oh. Oh, I don't know what. Okay. The other button, I will make a lighter gray, actually. tube going. So this is going to be something very different. Last is we're using textures. We didn't in the past. We kind of used a flat model for everything. I think we want to keep a similar style where we're very voxel heavy in terms of the design of blasters and stuff. But we want to be careful not to do. Go ahead. Face. And remove the face safely. And maybe even this fade. Bring that back down. None of this is like vital that you do. Like remove those faces, but I just like it just feels cleaner. Okay. That's kind of what we're looking at. Let's go ahead and start bringing everything back. Like I'm. But we can see how everything's like really coming. We will tweak as we go. Possible. How is this one different? I'm thinking we need to actually get rid of the top and bottom lines. Yeah. I think this will make. I'm thinking. my mic isn't muted. I'm just thinking. Let's look at it in game. That real quick. Okay, and then actually I need to open up the texture for the arm. The You can hear the cogs turning. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. Okay, that's extra. Seeker, there we go. Okay. Here is the secret. Okay. First of all, let's get rid of. This is not part of the tech. I tried to use a skin file. I mean, I succeeded in skin file. But part of that is get rid of. Well, maybe we do. So I don't. So this is the second layer. What's cool about this is I do have layers. I want to stack skin. I'm realizing that have the noise applied on a texture that you work on more than. So what I do is in the project file, I duplicate the actual text. Add noise when I'm. I started saying this, but this is my my skin for the brick gangster. Meet me in the mafia suit. For now, we'll keep this. Really makes sense. Oh, that was there. I hate the erasers. Control A never works for some. Doesn't actually matter. Okay, and then here, this is where the texture we actually want. So it doesn't have an arm. Second, it's top of sleep. I think that's most of the noise except up here. This guy's bald. Where is his skin? Could also be. That'll look. And if he's bald. The reason I want him to be bald is I want to give him some cool, like, scars. Very different than Scout. He is kind of like the antithesis of Scout. Those copy. So faces also have second layer. Like Crimson. Smiling. He's just sad. Probably need. So that's his eyebrow. That's on the second layer because it just adds. Mask. This is not something that. Saved. It's time to go back. Game. Whether we like it or not, we're gonna have to end. You know what we need? I'm gonna fix that real quick. Pretty big looking. Right here. These don't have to, but the top and the and I love how massive it is. Inventory. Mask is weird. Look. He's wearing underwear on his face. Oh no. That's not what I wanted. But we gotta fix that right away. Trying to make it look like he's hiding his identity. Don't know if I'm not wrong, am I? Looks goofy, right? Grid. Invite 10. How do you do that? Okay. I had to fix that immediately. That's better. It's okay. It is the bottom. He just looks like a robot, though. I think the mask needs to go up. Oh yeah, this is. Maybe even wider. It's a blinking. That's not too bad. Now imagine there being a ton more detail in all that. And I'll probably completely change. Still a little. Okay, so this is what the arm actually actually looks like. It's just missing. But with the blaster out, actually, there's a lot of texture in here that vanished. Not in first person. But thank you, Smiley. But yeah, if we can fix both parts of that, which that's easy. Basically, I have to double the amount of models. But that's easy. Modify the arm. Modify it to show that thing being popped open. Void needle. I think we just have to keep the blaster open, like always on. Otherwise, it just looks like that could all arm. I think that's a good stopping point, though. We got very simple baseline done for Seeker. Or some other time. Depends. Amazing how much you can have. See, if I zoom in. What is my zoom? I think that's yellow. I think that's the backside of that texture, which is really fun. If I keep looking down, it goes away and becomes pink. So I forgot the texture. I'm thinking we make everything that's light gray this darker gray, and then we make the dark gray black. Because this is a little too bright. And of course, all of the finer detail. That'll help a lot. Texture. Especially looking at it. I think we need some darker gray in the middle here, or I guess it'd be. We will. So the main thing that I want to change, right now it's just big red, the gum. But I want these little canisters and this to have an animated texture. And I want it to be inverted if we can do that without it looking. So I want it to look like a glass capsule that is containing some very energetic matter. And I think once we do that, I think that will help a lot with the whole look of it. Because right now it feels like got all this stuff floating away from capsule, and I think if we make this a glass texture and then put on the inside of that antimatter, whatever, I think we could. But anyways, we're gonna have to wrap up there. Thanks for joining me, Smally, and me. Wait, always fun to our ideas for map better. I will see you